Hello Africa, welcome to another edition of AAU Talks on AAU TV. I am your host Frank Asifua, and today we'll be having a wonderful discussion about agribusiness. The theme is Agribusiness Enhancement for Higher Education Institutions in Africa. We will discuss about how agriculture can be used to improve Africa and what the youth must do to also be engaged in it. Let's begin the discussion, and I will introduce my guest after this commercial break.
My name is Dr. Violet Makuku, a quality assurance expert with the Association of African Universities. The Association of African Universities is here with the African Quality Rating Mechanism, internal institutional evaluation tool that can help you improve the quality of higher education, whether it is in teaching and learning, in ICT, in infrastructure, financial management, university management, and all the other aspects whose quality should be monitored in the university. Kindly follow the provided links for you to understand more about the African Quality Rating Mechanism, institutional evaluation process, and also to get hold of the form that you can use to express interest. AAU, the voice of higher education.
Welcome back. Today, on this edition of AAU Talks on AAU TV, we will be discussing agribusiness enhancement for higher education institutions in Africa. With me to discuss this topic about agriculture and our wonderful continent, I have Professor Olufemi Martins Adisope. He is the Assistant Director for the Center for Research Management and Development in the University of Port Harcourt. Welcome.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be in Ghana.
Yes, happy to have you here in our
Thank
studios.
you very much.
Nice. So, Prof, what exactly does your job as an Assistant Director in this institution, what exactly do you do?
Thank you very much once again, and thank you, viewers. The Center for Research Management and Development in the University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria, is under the Office of the Vice Chancellor, and we drive the research and the management process, research management and development process of the university. Okay. Part of what we do is to mentor early career researchers, early and mid-career researchers in the universities, okay, and then other scientists also, including graduate students who are part of the early career anyway. But basically, we focus on the staff of the university, how to improve them, encourage those who have not gotten their PhDs to get their PhDs, okay, and then we run several workshops on grantsmanship. Mm-hmm. We open opportunities for them to get grants, mm-hmm, like AAU has been really useful to us.
Yes.
Because my university is a member of AAU, a member of ACU, a member of Reform, mm-hmm, Warima, and several other networks. Mm-hmm. So our being part of these networks have helped us to actually leverage on the possibility and the opportunities inherent in, yes, those networks. Mm-hmm. So through the networks, we get these funding opportunities and send calls out, and then select even the Commonwealth Scholarship, mm-hmm, do same. We'll send calls out to our staff and, mm-hmm, then screen them. The best will send their names. Those that are successful are engaged in some of this. Then we also oversee center activities. Okay. We monitor what they do. They send their annual reports to us, mm-hmm, which we send back to the Vice Chancellors through several reports we send down. Okay. We send our midterm reports sometimes, okay, and the final annual reports. Mm. And then we also monitor the inaugural lecture series, okay, which also we link this up to the ICTC, the Center for Information and Communication Technology, okay, so that it will be easily accessible, wow, to all and sundry. Mm. So a lot of activities, we basically manage research, manage the activities of the research, and when staff get grants, mm-hmm, they pay through to the university account, okay, and we help to monitor how they expend the, wow, grants.
That's a wonderful thing you're doing over there. But you yourself are an agriculturalist, right?
Yes, I'm an agriculturalist. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. What got you into agriculture? And
well, I'm a professional. Mm-hmm. Well, being a director, there are two different things. That's, mm-hmm, administrative.
Yes, yes.
You know, well, I think the interest. My father was a farmer. My father was a soldier.
Oh, okay.
And he had a very big farm. Mm-hmm. You know, as a soldier, you move from point to point.
Yes, yes.
In fact, in Nigeria, there's no There's no region. We have 6 geopolitical zones,
Okay.
which that we have covered all the 6
Wow.
on account of my father's movement from one zone to another, and on
yes.
account of my job too as a teacher at the university.
Yeah.
You know, and I travel a lot for conferences, so I've taught all over the nation.
Wow.
So these 2 things help. And well, I grew up in the barracks with my father,
Yes.
and we had farms, and I always go to the farm with my father. So I think God just arranged it for me to fit into the line, and I've not regretted it.
That is
I'm happy
nice.
about
That
it.
is nice. Now, our continent is one that is known for having a lot of greens, vegetation, arable land that can be farmed. But we are portrayed as the poorest. More often than not, we have less food to eat for our populace as well. What exactly are the causes of this, even though we have very fertile lands and arable lands that can be used?
Well, you know, it's a $1 million question. Statistics have it that Africa, we have, I think, over 60% of our arable lands are unused.
Yes.
They are not tapped at all.
Okay.
That's a huge potential. And, well, we know the youths, there are so many. And I hear in the next 20 or so years, African youths alone will make up 1/4 of the entire world
population, yes.
which
Yes.
is another potential we can
Yes.
leverage on. Unfortunately, I think there are, now I just mention 3 C's, what I call 3 C's, that could be responsible for this perceived poverty status, unfortunately. I think top on the list is corruption.
Okay.
Corruption is a bane in Africa. And it's so pitiable that despite the huge potentials we have, we've not been able to surmount that. It's funny that even the leaders that should help us are not helping. The followers that should follow well are not following
That's true.
well. Corruption is a major issue which we need to work on if we have to move forward, if we have to have enough food. Because we can't be depending on aids, which is another issue, because the aids will always come for, let's blow what we have. There's need for transparency in what we're doing. I made a presentation last month, my faculty lecture on open data.
Okay.
With open data, things could be transparent.
Yes.
With open data, when the budget is there are some states that don't put their budget up there, so we don't even know what they're doing.
Exactly.
So if we put information that should benefit the people can ask questions.
It's true.
Accountability and transparency will be, it will be easy for people to engage with government. Well, we can't engage with our governments in
It's
Africa,
true.
it's difficult.
It
So I
is.
think corruption is the first one. Conflict is another issue we're facing in almost all the parts of Africa. Nigeria, South Africa, East Africa is a major issue. Militants just wake up and blow things away.
True.
In Nigeria, in northern part of Nigeria, in some areas, even in the east, we have issues of herdsmen. Now people cannot go to the farms, and then cost of food items have risen astronomically. So corruption, conflict, and thirdly, climate change.
Okay.
I know this is a global issue,
Yes.
but I think the tropical nature of Africa is making it more serious in Africa. So all of this will affect production.
True.
And then we'll still be hovering around the same cycle. So I just pick on those 3 for now.
Okay. Okay. Now, as you mentioned, there's a projection that we are going to have a quarter of the youth in the world from Africa. That's the population. So there's an imbalance because we say there's arable lands and the youth should go into agriculture, but then every effort of governments are into STEM. How can we make this work? Is there a link between the 2 of them? Is there a way that we can leverage the technology to assist agriculture? What exactly can we do to make this work?
Again, the traditional fixation we have about agriculture. So you have to scratch the ground, use the local hoes and cutlasses, which they've not helped us in any way. But then there's so much we can still do. And that's where agribusiness comes in. Agribusiness looks at value addition. Agribusiness sees farming or agriculture as a business. You don't necessarily need to own a farm.
Yes.
You don't need to own a farm to be a farmer. Like I tell my students, well, I live in a city, and I now ask them, when we talk about agricultural extension, which is my area of specialization, the impression is to think that, our attention should only be to farmers. in the rural areas.
Yes.
In fact, that was one of the things I wanted to study agri-economics so I could work in a bank
Yes.
as against agri-extension. When I went to ask my teacher what's the difference between the two, what scared me was the fact that agri-extension, oh, you work with people in the farm. I got scared. In rural, you put it in rural, and I got scared. I said, rural, that means I'll always be in the village. Oh, come on, I don't want to do that. But somehow, by fate, I found myself. Well, I've not regretted it. I'm really happy I eventually studied agri-extension. So the impressions the youth have about agriculture is that it's a menial thing.
Very.
But in the contemporary trend, the trends, global trends now show that we need to do away with our obsolete traditional mentality of agriculture, you know, and then come into the where it needs to be. Yes, STEM. Well, we all cannot be scientists, no doubt, but that's the way to go.
Yes.
Now, agribusiness works. Agriculture is an applied science.
It is.
So whatever we have known about science, how do we apply it? And that's where technology comes in. Innovation, newer things that we can use in making things better. Now, a lot of value have been added to components of agriculture, which youths must be aware of. And that's where the higher educational institutions come to play. So we have to build the manpower. Human resources definitely need to be built properly. Our curriculum needs to change. We can't keep using. Many a times we don't review our curriculum.
True.
To be in tandem with reality.
Yes.
So we need to look at this. I think it's a matter of a 5-yearly thing. But 10 years, 15 years, people don't talk about their curriculum.
Yes.
And then even in the computer world, those who learned how to use computer 15 years ago, they've lost touch with reality in the present times, but they've not really improved themselves. So the same thing needs to be looked at. We need to look at that in the agricultural balance. The youth will appreciate it better if they see that there could be a better way and not the traditional way. You know, there's this variety of plantain banana, which we call cooking banana.
Okay.
Now, cooking banana is a crossbreed between wild banana and, well, if I have to call it domestic plantain.
Domestic plantain, yes.
Now, scientists found, we all know, that plantain or banana, there's a black sigatoka disease that infects any of these crops. And they discovered that the wild banana was resistant to that disease. So there was a crossbreed between it. Now, we know that banana we only eat raw when it is ripe. Plantain, we have to cook. But this is a species where you combine both. So when you can eat it when it is ripe, raw like banana. You can fry it, eat it like chips. You can fry it when it's not ripe. You can use it to pound it. So that's why it's called cooking banana. It has a dual purpose. But ultimately, the basic reason why it was brought there was to make do, resistance to BSD, but productivity. Now, there's this success rate of close to 70–80% if you have to plant cooking banana suckers as against plantain, which most times after a short while you have leaf spot and then they die off. Now, for a farmer who wants to, who knows that there are potentials in farming cooking banana, the risk of having losses will not be there. So if you have to make, well, these days diabetes is all over the place. You can make plantain flour from it also. You can make plantain drinks from it also. So there are so many value you can add to it. So for a young person who knows he can, that's a good place to go from. There are many persons who consume this thing. So we can make all of these different items from this. Then it's a way to go. All you need to do is you know that you are not going to suffer losses when you plant. Then you are in business. So agribusiness is a way of making money. Commercial agriculture is what our business is talking about.
So that is a wonderful insight into the agribusiness, and it is a part that we rarely see, because we only see the whole, as you mentioned, and the dirty farmer coming from the farm. So that needs to be pushed a bit more to help people see how we can really commercialize agriculture.
Yeah, of course.
Now, please tell us a bit about the Agribusiness Enhanced project, for which you are the project officer of.
Yeah, Agribusiness Enhanced project is a European Union funded project. There were about 5 countries involved in that project in East and West Africa. Well, my country, Nigeria, is the only one from West Africa. And the project was actually funded by EU. Ethiopia Mekelle University in Ethiopia, Egerton University in Kenya, and then Gulu University in Uganda, and the University of Port Harcourt, the four countries. Then we have an associate partner from Denmark, University of Copenhagen, now who serves as, well, he moves around and does some training. You know, European Union is in that area. You should understand why. Now, for about 3 years, between 2013 and for about 4 years, sorry, between 2013 and 2017, we had several mandates. Basically, just as a precursor to what I had said before, how do we enhance competitiveness of our youths in the university? How do we make our young people, when they leave the university, to compete favorably with other youths outside? Now, we had several activities we really went into. One of the things we did was to sensitize the entire faculty. You know, you have to start from there. The teachers, those who are teaching, the non-teaching staff who do administration. So we had, in my own university, we sensitized the entire faculty at the first instance, after which we had a write shop with the students. Now, we want to empower students. We need to interact with them. So we had a write shop, a workshop where they had to do a lot of writing, very participatory one, and we did a training needs assessment, an entrepreneurship assessment there. Let me just digress a bit. Now, one of the things we made them appreciate is that farmers, most of the farmers in Africa are small-scaled, and they still feed the entire nation. The farmers, there are 4 major reasons, one of 4 reasons why farmers go into farming, as it were. The very first reason is farmers produce exclusively for home consumption. These are the subsistence farmers. Most of the African farmers fall under this category. They produce just to feed, just enough to eat. They don't have any business with any other thing. Let me eat for the stomach infrastructure, as one of my governors would say. Now, the second reason is they produce some for the market. Sorry, they produce some for the home, and then the surplus for the market. So now, if you look at this group, they have some sense of business in them. That's where the agribusiness comes in, or entrepreneurship, as we want to call it. So they are producing for the home. When there's surplus, instead of allowing it go waste, they sell to make some extra money. They are not entrepreneurs, as it were. It's just circumstantial. That's why they are selling the surplus. Then the third reason why they farm is those who know that they have to farm for the market. They farm for the market and we just leave a little for the home. That's in case of, it's like a shock absorber. Now, if you look at the trend, it's a ladder actually that's going down. If you go, as you are going down the ladder, you discover now that the third reason makes them fit into some business. They have some business sense. Then the fourth reason is exclusively for the market. They are interested in making money, profiteering, which is the core of agribusiness. They have passion. These are some of the features of entrepreneurship or agribusiness too. They have passion for what they are doing, and they want to sustain, you know, over a period of time. So they need to make money and do so many things and expand the scope of their business. So these are one of the 4 reasons out of these 4 I've mentioned that people go into that. So we need to let our students, appreciate the fact that going down the ladder, that very first one is the way to go. How do you produce enough, make money to be able to do so many other things, and then diversify? You know, though I mentioned just 3 of the causes why we still have food challenges. Another cause is lack of diversification. You know, for a chicken farmer, for instance, you go into chicken farming, you forget that one day coccidiosis may come, Newcastle, and wipe out everything. So if you don't diversify, you lose everything. So we encourage that diversification, planning. All of this could be at the individual level or even at the government level. So if we let them appreciate that this is this, and then case studies, you know, so you know, learning now is diversified. So back to where I was. Now, when we had the right shop, we did a training needs assessment where they let us know specifically what they want to know. This is where we want to go. And we took note of that. At the end of which we had a workshop for staff and reviewed looked at our curriculum. See what the students have said. Where can this fit in? This is the direction we'll teach our students. Thereafter, we had a stakeholder meeting. Now, agribusiness, again, needs to leverage on the public-private partnership. So we brought in people from the public sector, agribusiness, industries, private and the public, and then we had a discussion. What do you think should be in our curriculum? What are the things you need to see when an employee who's an agriculturalist comes in? What are you looking out for? So things like that, again, we looked at it. After which, one of the objectives of our project was to empower the students. Now, giving them the opportunity to become consultants on their own beat. So we had to identify some of them who we posted to various agro industries. At their own time, they were able to manage within the class period, and this was a model we got from Earth University anyway. So we were doing that, and one of the fallout from that was, in one of the reports, some of them said they now saw themselves as real consultants. In fact, they were able to identify problems and solve the problem, and that's what we're looking for. So it's not like you pour in so much information on the students, he reads, he passes, he goes his way. You know, one area we leave out most times in the higher educational institutions, we have, we teach, we do research, and then community service. The community service part of it is almost not there because of so many reasons anyway. So that bit was to also help us reach out to the community members as we take the students down there. So after we did that, we now had a roundtable, bringing the staff together, those students who want for that special attachment together, the public, private sector together. We deliberated, we did a SWOT analysis, and came out with another report. You know, so a lot of this went into that project. They were making tours to the various countries involved in the project and understanding each other. So how can we work together? Well, though the project is ended, we are still, engaging together. We are trying to apply for the Center of Excellence now. And we are now also trying to link up with them. Like Egerton already is a Center of Excellence. So we're trying to leverage also with work with Gulu, Egerton, and there's another university in Uganda. So we've done all of this. And then one other fallout, I had a mandate in Nigeria. Cassava is a major crop. One crop I have interest for. It's a major crop in Nigeria and in majorly southern part of Nigeria. My mandate crop was cassava. And what do we do to make it different? So adding value to cassava, the high quality cassava flour was what actually I put all my attention on. And through that, I've been able to, the project has been able to show students, show people in the communities how to use high quality cassava flour to make snacks, confectionaries, and all of that. And in fact, we've also used cocoyam to do a similar thing, and we're about to start using sweet potato. So we can add value. A lot of this is waste. Now, one of the reasons why, when we are talking about that, one of the reasons why we are putting attention on that is that, yes, gari may be the major product from cassava, but there are so many other things we are not talking about. Wheat is very expensive, so make bread from cassava. In fact, the immediate past president in Nigeria insisted that when they were having Federal Executive Council meetings, they made bread made from cassava flour. And they did that before he left. And even the minister then of Agriculture, who is the ADB president now, came with me. That was his baby. That was his baby, and I'm aware they were even exporting some of that to neighboring countries. So we leveraged on that. I started doing that way back 2004 when I was teaching somewhere else. And I was able to do that. But here, in the University of Port Harcourt now, so many persons are aware of this.
Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, viewers, so we'll go on a break, and we'll come back and continue this wonderful discussion on agriculture.
Hello everyone, I'm Georgina Mason from the Association of African Universities, here to invite you to the Coding Skills for Everyone workshop. The workshop aims at introducing participants to the world of computing and programming. Registration for the workshop is 100 Ghana cedi. For more information, visit blog.aau.org or send me an email on gdmason@aau.org.
So, Prof, you talked about cassava and how you've used it to see how you can add value to it. And we've seen the various methods that can be used and how financially viable it can be used when we put our minds to it. Now, apart from that, are there any other crops that you think value can be added to that we can make a headway on?
The root and tuber crops, which are staples around the southern part of Nigeria where I work. We have cassava, we have cocoyam, we have sweet potato. Even though we don't produce Irish potato, we import it from somewhere up north. It's also very common there. and plantain too. Plantain is very common around the Niger Delta area. So we have made a headway with cassava.
Okay.
We've also made a headway with cocoyam.
Cocoyam.
Cocoyam is almost going into extinction.
Very.
So one of the ways of bringing it back is adding value.
Wow.
Because the only serious thing most people do with cocoyam, and only in a very few areas in southern Nigeria, is to use it as thickener in the soup.
Okay. Wow.
That's just all.
Oh.
Many people leave it as waste. They just leave it there.
Yeah, it's very important.
So by adding value to it, using it to make snacks and things like that, I think it's bringing it back. I made a presentation somewhere in Abia State some 2 months ago. And it was a very exciting one.
Wow.
And about 30 something, close to 40 farmers were invited who also brought products. And we did some exhibition, gave awards to females anyway.
Wow.
And somebody made cake from it also. I made chips, I made chin-chin, I made donuts, and so many. And they saw what I did and they were really interested.
Nice.
Yeah, so very soon we'll do a similar thing with sweet potatoes. For plantain, we have seen, I even saw the meal I ate yesterday,
Yes.
fufu.
Yes, there's fufu. Yes.
There's something we just learned. Instead of drying it, you just peel and then chop and blend. And then you mill and make your food. So that's a lot of value.
Yeah.
So which will not really bring drudgery. It makes things easy.
Yeah.
Most people are busy. So we want to make things easy for people. So more youth can go into farming and can feed the world.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what impact has this project made on your stakeholders?
Because we've been able to engage the immediate communities. In fact, when sometimes they see us, they say, we're expecting more from you. They always want more.
Yeah.
Well, it made a lot of impact. Through the project, we've been able to have an agric extension outreach unit.
Okay.
So that will now help us reach out.
Okay.
And then there are some of our staff who deployed that unit who I am the chairman. I'm also the chairman of the research and training committee.
Okay.
The outreach unit is also a part of it.
Okay.
And we've been engaging now. At least we've been engaging with we send those students out. So those formed units where we can reach out.
Yes.
And then one of the needs, we do needs assessment and things like that. So that will help us. In our data bank, we'll be able to know, okay, this is the kind of attention we need to give to the farmers within our immediate communities.
Okay.
And so that the university will not just be seen as an ivory tower, just a knowledge bank, when we are not engaging with the public. So we are trying to make some efforts. It may be expensive, but we are trying to make efforts to reach out to people. And then the sensitization through the cassava project too, apart from the immediate communities, within the university communities too, many of our students are engaged and they appreciate that. At one instance, I made just a chin-chin donut. A student made a cake. Wow. Which they donated to me, and I was very impressed. So at least it shows that you have learned and you have applied it.
Yes.
So that's the kind of the thing we are looking for. So that's some impact somehow.
That's
we have built capacity. We have relatively built capacity.
Yeah.
And we try to engage them as we work, we get them to be part of what we do also.
So we've seen that you've engaged the community, which is very important because more often than not, as you mentioned, the universities have the knowledge, but then how to disseminate it into the community for it to be used is the difficulty. Even though it costs a lot of money, as you mentioned,
Yes.
It is a very wonderful thing that I think many universities can emulate in order to help their communities where they are based. So how else have you integrated this project into the university?
Majorly, apart from capacity building, and letting people know, we have documents, we have flyers, so people engage, and then we try to also partner with individuals that are also part of other projects. The wealth of experience we have gained, be able to leverage on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I know that many projects that come up, they try to integrate us now. One, because we already have the experience, and we really have, we know what to do at the right time. Also, so I think partnership and collaboration has been very strong as a result of the fallout from our project.
Yeah. So, and then how have you linked with industry to try and commercialize this? Because this seems to be very viable, And it is very important that we see how we can also commercialize it to gain some money for the university, as well as employ some people in the community as well to be able to be engaged in this and gain some money from it.
Yeah, that's where we are. We are still working on that. In 2015, there was a survey from IITA specifically on commercialization of high-quality cassava flour. We were part of that project. You know, it's not quite easy breaking through like that, especially those viable private establishments. So we are working on that area. You know, intellectual property and all of that. We have an office like that. We're also trying to get that sorted out, so we'll not get into any form of trouble. So engaging the private sector is something we're still working. Though something else, we've been able to, there are two, the Nigerian Agri Oil Company we have been working with. They are into agriculture also. Then there's Sasakawa Africa. We have just entered into a partnership with them. And I'm also chairing that committee, the link between Sasakawa and my university. And a lot. And Agip is also trying to integrate into that project also. And there's one unique aspect of that project, supervised enterprise scheme, where we want to use a non-conventional approach to make students, just like the type of scheme we did on the Agribusiness Enhancement, where the financial students will go into the community and work with the farmers and find solutions to their problems. So it's not just writing projects conventionally, you know, thinking outside the box, kind of a methodology. So I think we're making efforts in that area.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Would just like to have some final words, if there's anything that you want to talk to universities about, or the viability of agriculture and all of that.
Yeah, we need to engage our students. The paradigm is shifting. Because the paradigm is shifting, we need to engage them more. It's not just a classroom affair. Problem-solving approach, it's critical. Our teaching should be student-centered. We were discussing at a meeting recently, and people were saying we're not getting enough students. I told them it's not about advertising the program. It's about our attitude.
Very true.
The attitude must change. When you are so difficult on the students, you scare them away. We must relate to them as if we are relating with human beings.
So
let them appreciate what we are doing. When we go to the field, take them along to the field. So they appreciate this is the reality. They see it here. It's not just to tell them and they begin to try to link the short-term memory with long-term memory. That's a long way off. Let's engage them. We need to engage them. Then reward system. Rewards may not be in cash. It could be in kind. Appreciate what they have done. So that can encourage them also. I think that area, we need to really work on the higher institutions. There should be reward for hard work. We should engage the young people. And then I like what CTA is doing, the hackathon programs and all. I like what Ruforum is doing too yearly. In 2016, we were in South Africa, and I think about 15 young entrepreneurs were invited, all expense paid, to Cape Town. And it was exciting. Because they had their proposals and they sent, and I engaged with many of them. I was very happy with what we were doing. And they gave them, I think it was $5,000, dollars or euro, to encourage them to do what they do. So things like that should be encouraged. I'm impressed that I think this year there's also advertised again for a similar thing. So young persons come, bring out your ideas. That's what we in the university should also let our students know. Opportunities like this are bound. Let them appreciate that they can showcase what they have. But if we don't teach them, we don't empower them, we don't engage them, how do they showcase? So they should be part of it. And then, above all, they should also try to come out. I like the expression, they are free to express themselves, but they should do it the positive way. There shouldn't be any conflict in the way we want to express ourselves. So, because if you want to be antagonistic, I'll keep my information to myself. So it's a two-way thing, actually. So I think I encourage the young people to show enough interest, concerted efforts, make efforts. I don't have to pull you every time, keep tagging you along. Show that you are willing to work. We must show our willingness, we must show our interest. That's why I want the young people to really appreciate that they can change the world.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
It's been a wonderful discussion today, viewers, with Professor Olufemi Martins Adisope. He's the Assistant Director of the Center for Research Management and Development in the University of Port Harcourt. We've had a lot of insights into the things that the university has done and how they've engaged with their community and how this has helped them to be able to see the benefits of agribusiness and how they can use it to enhance their institution. And this is a model that we can all follow and enhance our universities, our higher education institutions as well. It's been a wonderful time having you again, and I thank you for being with us and watching this show. Stay tuned, and we'll be with you again another time. Have a good day.